in. We'll just wait for one minute more, 2 minutes more to let other people join, and then we get started. Cool. I think we'll get started. I think more people will join as we come, but we've got a good quorum to begin with. Thank you so much for those who've joined in already, and welcome to the 18th edition of the Uday Knowledge Sessions brought to you by Mumbai FinTech Hub and PwC. For those of you who are new to this, this entire initiative is run by the Mumbai FinTech Hub, which is the FinTech vertical of the government of Maharashtra, and is focused on helping the FinTech sector grow by focusing on a number of different channels, and one of them being providing access to talent and developing talent through different education initiatives. And Uday is the flagship FinTech education program that Mumbai FinTech Hub runs, which focuses on assisting students like yourselves who have joined in, who are interested in FinTech concepts and in pursuing careers in the FinTech space by giving you access to the relevant content, relevant information, the relevant access to experts to share their experiences so that you can get the inputs you need to explore such careers. The Uday Knowledge Sessions has been built in that frame where the idea is we invite experts and leaders from the FinTech industry to come in and provide their perspective on how they've gone about building their businesses, what is the innovation that they're seeing, and also in the same breath, what are the skill sets and the career roles that would be available to people who look to pursue such careers. Today, we are very excited to have and invite Mr. Nishant Jain, who is Chief Product Officer and co-founder at Toffee Insurance. Toffee, as I'm sure most of you know, has really had a phenomenal role and has carved out itself in the insurance space with a very strong impetus, particularly on customer experience, which has always been a perennial problem with the traditional insurance model. So it's going to be really interesting to hear the journey that Toffee has gone through in terms of how it's established itself and what are the different innovations it's used to go about, putting together the offerings that it has as of today. Nishant himself holds a master's degree in human-computer interaction from the University of Michigan and a bachelor's degree from the Delhi College of Engineering. He has over 18 years of experience in running design teams in small and large organizations, and I think that will be a really important piece for those on the call to really pick his brains on that aspect of the FinTech space. While we've had past speakers talk about innovations through a technology perspective and from a customer experience perspective, I think design has always been something that has been emphasized as a key facet of the FinTech model. And it'll be really interesting to get Nishant's experience and perspective on that side of things as he talks through the insurance model and how Toffee has gone about establishing themselves. So we are very excited to have Nishant today with us for the session. Before I hand it over, just a couple of quick housekeeping rules. As with all sessions, we like to keep this as interactive as possible. Nishant will be covering he's got a short deck which he'll be taking us through and giving his perspective. But please do feel free to send in your questions using the Q&A feature on the WebEx. So if you're using your laptop, then click on the black button with the 3 dots, click on the Q&A option. That will open up a chat window for you where you can type in your question. Just make sure that you choose the all panelists option when you type in your question. If you're using your phone, you'll see a similar flow where you will have the same black button with 3 dots, and you can choose your Q&A screen and choose all panelists to type in your questions, and we'll be able to see your questions. I'll at different points post your questions to Nishant to get his perspective on what you have to say. But that's about it. Without any further ado, we'll hand it over to you, Nishant. Welcome again, and looking forward to your session.
Great. Thanks, Avnish. Delighted to be here. This is, in all honesty, this is the first time I'm doing a kind of a webinar. It seems very odd. I've addressed people otherwise. So it's a little bit of a first for me. So give me a little bit of time to get into the cadence of things. But what I would like to, just emphasize on the onset, feel free to sort of interject. This is not a class. This is not something it's not some gyan I'm giving. I just want to just go from the journey, which sort of little bit of my experience, but also more about Toffee, from why did we start, and what has been the challenges and successes so far, and what's next for us. So we'll try to sort of cover the entire gamut of things. I would assume that most of you who have joined this presentation are students interested in FinTech, may or may not pursue a career there, but just want to see what's going on. And so I think this is very exciting. FinTech, not just in India, and across the world, has always been very an interesting space. Because of the economy last year or so, especially around the lending side, etc., it's been a bit of a dampener. But considering that where we are as a country, as a demographic, FinTech, you can't go wrong. When we started off, we were talking to one of the VC, and they said, every 100 meters, there is a problem to be solved in FinTech. And I think that hasn't changed in the last 2 years of our experience in Toffee. So give me a second. Let me just share the deck. Let me know if there is somebody who cannot see it. And also, if there are any issues hearing my voice, volume, otherwise, I think now will be a good time to kind of raise your hands, please, because for me, there is no feedback for me in that sense, so it's hard for me to see your faces and say, okay, yeah, everybody's sort of getting what I'm saying. Okay, assuming everybody is okay, and we can get started. So Toffee. So if I just look at my career, I have been a designer in that sense. A designer not in sense of sort of what you see on the screen, how well it looks, and all that. Design in terms of having a problem-solving mindset, that identifying a problem, defining the problem in certain constraints, in certain limits, which allows for a finite number of solutions to be tried, because that's very important. The wider problem, obviously, then it'll be very difficult for you to control the variables you want to solve. So here you define it narrowly enough that, okay, this is the first stab we'll take at it. And then sort of solving it through design process. And the process of design is pretty, very well known right now. But that's all. That's all it is, and that's what I have done sort of over my career, and even before I started a consulting for design fields back in the US and in India and Australia, etc. So what happened is, so Toffee was actually probably my 6th or 7th idea. I was always sort of interested in trying migrating towards a product space rather than just doing services. That was interesting, but there was a lot of repetition there, and I thought that, and scaling the business was obviously a problem for us in terms of a very niche design studio-ish kind of the offering. So we were actually consulting with a bunch of insurance companies in the US, in India also. And then we started sort of noticing a pattern, even in the US, even here. And the pattern was that nobody young, and people like yourselves included, were buying insurance proactively. Now, if you're buying a scooter, a bike, or a car, obviously the insurance comes along with it. Or if your father or your guardian or somebody elderly has bought an LIC policy, or a health insurance, which you have included, but you don't think about insurance, right? I mean, and being a 25-year-old, 22, 23, 4, 24, sort of, you don't need to, right? I mean, I'm not set in my career. I had to figure out my career. I don't have a family. Nobody's really dependent on me. And I'm healthy, I'm young, nothing's going to really happen. And statistically speaking, you would be right. So, but I would say, okay, why do you have to wait to become 30, 32, 33 when you reach a certain life stage to buy insurance? And if you were able to capture a younger audience, then we can pull that audience sooner into the insurance safety net, and which is very important for the economy, so that your financial risks, are tremendously reduced as you if you face those risks forward. So that's actually the problem we try to solve at the onset. That how do we get a younger demographic to get interested in insurance? And according to our thesis, the problem was, yes, of course, experience, as Avnish mentioned, but more importantly, product. Said, life insurance, health insurance, nobody's really interested in that. Papa ne le li hai, when I get married or whatever, I'll get it. I don't need to worry about it right now. There is no sense of urgency. Yes, I should have it, but really, what are the chances that I'll really get hospitalized? Of course, I mean, notwithstanding the COVID kind of pressure, of course, that mindset will change if you have a clear and present danger as you have because of COVID right now. But typically speaking, you won't be interested. And so that's the problem we start to solve. And I said, yeah, what if there were products, insurance product, that would speak to you, contextual to what your immediate risks are. Now, typically as a student or first early on in your career, your risks are usually assets. Of course, car, bike, etc., but a mobile phone, a laptop, maybe an expensive bicycle, your home, your appliances. So basically stuff you need to buy, which are expensive, and there is a lot of pride and sort of identity almost attached to that. Trust me, you will grow out of it eventually, but right now even I've been there, so we know that that's the case. So we said, why is nobody insuring cycles? Why is nobody insuring appliances? Why is nobody insuring things like you're interested in fitness, right? You'll go to the gym, you'll run, etc. So why aren't you kind of getting those specific kind of insurances rather than health insurance lay low, life insurance lay low? And that is the journey of buying it has improved in the last 2.5 years, but it's still quite pathetic. I mean, you will need to be, okay, whom should I talk to? Can somebody call me? I need to understand a bunch of things. I have no clue. So how do we kind of create a product which is contextual and also simplify the understanding of the product where you can buy it almost like impulsively? So in a sense, how do you make insurance non-insurance like? How do you make insurance a product-like experience? Just like you sort of buy something from Amazon or Flipkart, can insurance buying be made that simple? Whether assisted or not. That I don't have to worry about your brochure, kya covered, kya covered, etc. I don't need to worry about the jargon, but just tell me I'm covered and I know if something happens, this is what I need to do. And that's where, so we believe that so more than product, then it was a problem of a brand. So if you build a brand, which means that you have to own that experience. Now, if you look at insurance companies, they actually don't own the experience. Very rarely you would buy something directly from the insurance company. Either it's through a broker, an agent, through a policy bazaar, kind of cover foxes, etc. But there's always somebody selling on behalf of the insurance company. That's one. So which means that initial sort of understanding of the customer is not there with the insurance company. Once you buy the policy, then kind of insurance company takes over, claim servicing, you can call me. And on the flip side, you have policy bazaars, etc. We said, okay, I'll help you figure out what you should buy, but once you buy, it's not my responsibility. Now, that's not what you, as a millennial, as a younger demographic, would expect from a brand. That, yeah, I want to be with you. Amazon doesn't say, no matter what the seller is, what the product is, anything which after you deal with me. And that's the kind of new insurance brand which we were trying to build. And that's what we try to do. So going forward, so what kind of opportunity? I mean, again, if you look at the landscape of insurance, is hugely still, even after it's 19 20 years of privatization, hugely underpenetrated. If you look at percent of GDP, it should be at least 6-7% of GDP on a semi-mature economy, but India is at 2.8%, which is 50th or maybe something like that in the world. And this is comprehensively speaking, as we're talking about. But if you remove auto, remove health, remove life, which means if I take sort of what we call a general insurance and just take that, it's in low decimals, believe it or not. So the opportunity is there. I mean, no matter which way you slice or dice it, if I have to make a business case, should we go after this space? Absolutely. And the opportunity is there because there are no products there. And that was our original thesis. And that thesis has refined, evolved over the years, and I'll get to that. So in terms of opportunity, it is massive. Insurance doesn't, I mean, there are 1,000 problems to be solved in insurance, no matter which way you take it. But most of the plays, or recent FinTech plays in insurance, you look at from Policybazaar to CoverFox to RenewBuys to settlements, etc., have focused on distribution. That how do I distribution the same vanilla products better? That's all. Products over here, experience is largely the same. There is no innovation in claim. There is no innovation in servicing that way. But at least now you have a starting point for insurance. We need health insurance, life insurance. We know where to start. Which it's a big difference, and that's why Policybazaar is there where it's there. But we said, let's take it from the product side of things. Create interesting, affordable, accessible products which would appeal to a younger demographic, and wrap it in a design which reflects a modern sensibility, reflects Amazon-like experience, simple, straightforward, and distribution where no matter sort of where anybody can sell that product. So I'll come to distribution later, but from a consumer mindset, doesn't matter where you buy Toffee, the experience, design, etc. We own that customer. You don't need to talk to the insurance company at all. So what did we do? So we started off 2.25 years. Sort of we launched in May of 2018 with something called sort of sachet. We call it bite size. You might call it micro insurances. I mean, different, right? And we created first of its kind. So India had never seen that kind of product before. I will not say there was completely our innovation, but looking at the world over, we saw some of that overlap. The first was cycle insurance, bicycle insurance, huge market for bicycles. A lot of younger people getting into cycling for recreational, but there was no insurance available, even though cycles do get damaged, cycles do get stolen. So there was nothing there, which was likely. So we tied up with Wildcraft on backpack insurance, tied up with Fitness First on gym fitness insurance, credit insurance and finance, which became mainstay later on. For health, we created dengue insurance, mosquito insurance. Now, you would have heard this insurance before, but we're very proud that we were the first to the market from a product innovation kind of a thing. So we started that. And over 2 years, we kind of sort of launched almost like a dozen products. Half a dozen worked, half a dozen did not. Cycle insurance today is a big market for us. It's huge. We then did extended warranty, mobile, gadget, which other players are doing also. But we have a decent size there. We have backpack insurance, which is doing very well. Dengue is very seasonal. Mosquito is very seasonal. So during the season, we do decently well, but from others not. So that's what we started off. And then what we realized that as sort of we're setting a certain benchmark for experience for insurance, nobody's sort of thinking of it insurance. They were actually, we validated that a majority of our customers were the first time they were buying insurance proactively. And they were then getting in touch with us during the year. They are life feeling hai, I want health also. Can you give me that? What do you do auto also? Because the experience was great. Your claims were very straightforward, everything digitized, and my refund came very easily. So, and that's what then kind of realization earlier this year, which happened, is that how do we then, so the owning a customer journey end to end from a product point of view, we had achieved to a certain degree. But what we were missing was owning the insurance journey of a customer. And that's what our next sort of Toffee 2.0, if you want to call it in a cliched manner, but that's what we're working on now. That, okay, you bought a certain insurance, which is micro insurance from us, but how can I make sure that all your insurance needs are satisfied as you go along, as you hit certain life stages? Eventually, you will want life, you will want health, definitely, and auto, so definitely you will renew a few times in your lifetime. So if you love the experience, if you kind of have gotten you to be the first insurance brand which has got in touch with you, can I kind of extend that trust? And that's what the work in progress, and I'll talk about that a little later. I'll pause here. Just seems like a long monologue otherwise. Anything so far? Any Q&A? I can't see any. Avnish or Prateek?
The folks on the call haven't yet sent anything yet, but there were a couple of questions at the time of registration. Maybe I'll pick up one of those, which possibly could be contextually, or let me know if anyone is going to cover this. You did mention the whole sachet product approach and how that was a key, possibly one of the areas in which you defined a clean product, proposition to start getting customers. So there's a question from one of the registrants asking, in that whole, he of course has mentioned contextual insurance products. What is the key around acquiring users? Where, like, how do you go about doing that? Because it has to be at the point of consumption. So is there any strategy that you guys looked at there, or was that?
Yes. So absolutely. So nobody who's going to come to your website and buy cycle insurance. Nobody's going to come to your website and buy backpack insurance. So you will have to kind of contextualize insurance at the point where the asset or content, the piece of content is being bought. So we sort of we captured point of sale, and I will get into that little bit. I mean, in a next few slides. So we actually reached out to point of sale. So we captured majority of the cycle brands and said, get your dealers to sell insurance alongside cycle. And for dengue, etc., we had a very interesting strategy, and I'll talk about where the pharmacists were giving this insurance in a box, and people were actually coming to the site to activate the policies. But you're right. We had to capture them at the point of context, and most of the point of context was at the point of sale. So we kind of, everything was digital. They had our app. So, and it was very simple. So you can click the invoice, click the Aadhaar card, just capture a few personal information, and the policy was issued right there. So before you walked out of the store, we made sure the policy was in inbox. So that was the kind of experience. I mean, otherwise, it's a policy kab aayegi ki nahi aayegi, and other sort of things. And the claim was, again, you click on the claim button, and again, take a piece of it. We already have your Aadhaar, we already have your thing. So I actually don't need any documents from you. So we kind of made it so simple and straightforward. It was almost, initially in the first 2-3 months, it was almost like too good to be true. So we had a lot of sort of dealers call us and said, "There's some gadbad, kuch to gadbad hai." We have never heard insurance to be so simple and straightforward here. You're just passing the claim. So technically, maybe I didn't mention that, we are not an insurance company. We are an intermediary, a broker, as you want to call it. But what we have done is we kind of go back to insurance companies. Their insurance, we work with Tata AIG, HDFC Ergo, Bajaj Allianz, Apollo Munich, etc., which is now HDFC Ergo Health. So we work with these companies, and based on the kind of sort of products they have, we decouple products. So dengue came out of health insurance, for example. Bicycle insurance came out of their home insurance, for instance. So we kind of work with them, create business scenarios. We have our own sort of data science team who make a business case from a data point of view. Look, this is the data. This is what possible theft rates are. This is possible damage rates are. This is the pin code, which they go high risk, low risk pin code, etc. And then we go back, make a business scale, get the pricing. But because these are so small sachet size products, on an average about 400, 500 rupees for the year, insurance companies don't want to actually take the headache. I don't want to pass that claim. My claim processing will take me 2,500 rupees, and the claim is for, say, 1,500 rupees. This doesn't make any sense. So we make the whole thing, largely automated. You come in, I will check your score, etc., and it finds that your claim is passed, and we relay that information back to the insurance company, and they are paid out. That kind of thing. Sorry, I'm not sure if that answers the question, but yes. So we kind of, first 2 years, we focused a lot 90% of our sort of focus was on point of sale.
No, absolutely. And just I think it's something you covered, but just there was a follow on to that. Given that it's at the point, it's contextual and it's usually in conjunction at the point of a particular transaction. But like you mentioned, design and experience continues to be an important piece that you want to control. So how did you all manage that aspect of it? I don't know, again, if that's something you'll be covering, you possibly cover that down the line or...
Yeah. I mean, don't look at experience while I'm only using the app, right? I mean, experience is how I get the product.
Yeah.
Experience is not manic. Experience is manic kaise kharida. Experience is not okay, if I have to go through this 10 steps, I made it 5 steps or make it very beautiful looking 5 steps or 2 steps. The idea, so the best experience is I have not done any work. And that's the point I'm trying to make, that if somebody else can buy insurance for you in less than a minute, done. I said, why would I even bother? I said, okay, I'm a cycle insurance chahiye. Okay, sir, tuck. Give me your phone number, email, done. Policy in your inbox. Imagine the experience. And so that's what we start to do. And then after you've done the kind of emails you're getting, the kind of service messages, every month we started sending things like, hey, what do we do for claims? What are the reasons why some claims are getting rejected, for instance? What kind of you have to think about, and making sure your cycles are locked. If your cycle is not locked and it gets stolen, your claim will get rejected. So those kind of things, we started sort of giving that information, and we had a high click-through in those newsletters. So, and what I believe we did well is that when we actually called back, we always called about 300 odd customers every month, just to get a sense. Almost 90+% people recalled that, Toffee se liya tha, yahan pe liya tha, Cycle Insurance, so far so good. So if they can recall your brand, which means even though they didn't sort of actually buy it themselves, but which means that they're doing something right in that sense.
Perfect. No, yeah, I think the feedback from the customers is a really good point for people to note in terms of constantly evolving your product. So go ahead.
Correct. So yeah, some of the sort of side insurance, I will. And the best part of this insurance is that the names are self-explanatory. Trust me, our insurance companies so far don't even do that. So I will give you a very interesting example. So mosquito insurance was from Bajaj Allianz. When we got the product from them, they called it M-Care. I said, M-Care kya hota hai? He said, mosquito care. I said, who will know that? So I said, and to change from M-Care to mosquito insurance, trust me, it is a huge process. You have to go through some filing and IRD approvals and all that. It is, I mean, the whole system doesn't make it easy to make it customer friendly. As things like, I mean, right now it makes self-friendly. Backpack insurance, they call it backpack insurance. Now, for example, home insurance is so confusing. If I say home insurance, what would come to your mind? Ghar ko kuch ho jaye. If earthquake comes or flooding happens, if some damage comes to my home, I will get insured. And it makes sense, right? Life insurance, something happens to your life and you will get insured. But home insurance actually is a lot more. Home insurance may not cover your structure at all. It will only cover content, for example. So these kind of things, we try to be very mindful of. And as you can see, the sort of the product journey, the communication, etc., is very sort of very saturated colors, vibrant, and very simple. Okay, only need to know about 2, 3, 4 things, and that's it. And just basic things actually. But again, I mean, that's what we would appreciate it for. Sort of bringing that little more modern sort of very friendliness into the insurance space. And of course, I mean, the whole purpose of calling it Toffee was that only, is that Toffee and insurance, I mean, you have this very sort of fun, casual, almost non-serious word with insurance, with kind of, I don't know what kind of imagery it kind of instills in your mind, but together there is a nice tension to them. And I said, Toffee insurance, yaar, kuch to hoga, dekhna chahiye kya, that was the sense. Okay, so that's what I said. So now our emphasis is on how do we evolve sort of Toffee insurance, and not just sort of, there is already we've seen there's a danger of being too casual in a sense कि यार आपने सिर्फ cycle insurance अगर आप कर रहे हो, लेकिन यार health insurance, I want to be very sure, यार Toffee doesn't, I mean, do you have that kind of seriousness about it. मुझे Tata का चाहिए. I want to make sure that this is Tata or some big, because health, I can't take any pangas, in that sense. So how do we do that? So that's what we're doing right now. And this is the sort of evolution where we're saying, look, now if you need health, you need life, this is what we have. And I think this will be the real test of at least what I see is next 2 years for Toffee. That if I'm able to handhold a customer over his actually more serious insurance need, then we would have succeeded in the brand. Otherwise, take a cycle insurance, lakh, 2 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakh, aapne beach di, then what? You have brought that customer in, but if that customer goes to traditional channel for life, health, and home or other or auto, then we would have failed. The idea is if you want to create a brand, then brand means that the customer keeps coming back to you. Just like Amazon, whether you want to buy a phone worth a lakh or you want to buy, I don't know, a pen worth of 10 rupees, you will still go to Amazon. And that's the kind of sort of, I know I keep going back to the same example, but that's a great example of the testament of that how much trust you place in that brand. So that's the app actually is in progress, but you can see what we're trying to do. This is how we construct the products, as we say. Because we are brokers, so what we can do is we can tie with multiple insurance companies, and I can mix and match, which no insurance companies can do. For example, in our cycle product, even though cycles are covered, but we have also added something called a cyclist accident cover. So if a cyclist gets into an accident, gets permanently disabled, or dies, family will get 3 lakh rupees. And given that a majority of cycles are actually sold as middle class, or I would say lower to middle class, because that's where people are using cycles. Blue-collar workers are going to using as a primary means of transportation. That this becomes very, very valuable. Now we took cycle insurance from somebody and sort of accident insurance from somebody, combined it. But for the customers, cyclist insurance है. उसके पीछे क्या है, which only we could do, nobody else could. And that's what we're trying to I tried to show it here. Maybe I'm not sure how sort of easy to understand this is, but taking these multiple products and combining. So the Toffee Plan, which we recently launched a couple of months ago, and it's in beta right now, but our website has it. So I would encourage you to go and please take a look and do give us feedback on ki samajh mein aa raha hai ki nahi. So what we did in Toffee Plan, we took life insurance, we took health insurance, we took home insurance, combined it, and almost sort of flipping it around as a subscription product. I said, give us 600 rupees a month. I will cover your life, I will cover your health, I will cover your home. Because eventually you need to cover these three any which ways. So why do you worry? I mean, if you trust Toffee, we'll make sure the best underwriters are behind. So in case of health and life and etc., you're covered. So you don't have to worry कि health कैसे लेनी है, कैसे लेनी है, life कैसे लेनी है, home अगर चाहिए नहीं चाहिए. So यहाँ पर we kind of going. It's still sachet size. We're sticking true to that kind of moniker we have earned, but it's monthly now. As long as you keep paying me 600 rupees a month, you're covered. The moment you stop paying me, you don't get covered. Simple as that. And that, again, 3 different products at the back. But for the customer, we're saying Toffee Plan. I've already gone through the various channels. I mean, we do digital, we do point of sale, and we also have various partnerships. I already talked about sort of claim ratio. These are some screens I put together for a claims process. So these are your insurance cards. As you can see in the middle, you click on that. You upload these 2-3 things. If he's already uploaded, then it shows uploaded and submit the claim. As simple as that. Frankly, that's all I have. Again, the problem statement to solve has also changed. As every startup sort of goes through over the initial 2-3 years, they continue sort of evolving basis on what kind of product market fit and product feedback, market feedback you're getting. So our problem has changed from sort of changing the way insurance has been bought and sold by a younger demographic. How do we become the first insurance brand somebody interacts with? to more about yet how do we own somebody's insurance journey end to end. So, I mean, as you can see, that's a continuation of the same problem statement. But now that we have so many sort of thousands of customers sort of coming every month, what do I do with them? I mean, they are not going to be happy with just cycle insurance or back pain insurance, and said, okay, that's fine. Now I like what you guys are doing, but help me sort of secure my other risks as I pass through various life stages going forward. And that will be a harder problem to solve, but I think that would be worth solving. And even if you make a small dent, I think then we can really stay sort of stay true to our initial sort of promise of creating a new insurance brand, as you may call it. So I'll pause here. Feel free to ask me questions. Anything and everything is welcome, of course. Not sure how we're doing on time.
No, thanks, Nishant. When we have some questions, I'm going to start bouncing those off. I thought maybe we can spend another 10 minutes on the questions we've got, and then spend the last 10 minutes on the career side in terms of possible roles and skill sets, etc.
Okay.
So one question, an interesting one again, and possibly referencing what you were mentioning in terms of Toffee's role as a broker, and really innovating on the product itself and working with your base insurance manufacturers to then create a proposition for your customers. How does that relationship work between a startup who, as Toffee, was trying to establish yourself in the eyes of these behemoths, and having that ability to talk about changing their products or features or repackaging it in a different way? How did that work? Are there any specific roles there that you look at, any skills there, or just getting a sense of that?
I'll talk sort of 2-3 points which kind of come to my mind. The first is that most insurance companies are very open to it because frankly, they've also gotten bored doing the same thing again and again. I mean, it is that many things. Yeah, kuch naya karna, something exciting, something different. So when we went with the Cyclist proposition backpack, and they were very open. They said, "Okay, yaar, bike na bike, at least let's do something interesting, something different." So, I mean, most insurance companies were very, very open to the idea of collaboration. And frankly, a lot of those products failed. But I don't see any jadedness in them. Even if I go tomorrow, I want to create an insurance company, insurance product for remote control, I'm sure they'll be open to the idea. So I think that's fine. Insurance companies are very open to the idea generally. But the second is that what kind of surprised me was that there is no method to the madness in insurance. We would have thought they have some complex writing, they have some financial statistical models to price a product and all that. Kuch nahi. Apart from life and health, it is almost Ram Bharosa, as we call it. The moment we go with something, when your pricing is fine, let's go with that. There is very little diligence in terms of pricing from insurance company. And there is hardly any data science we saw, and suppose cycling, when we launched the cycling insurance, for instance, initially, the claim ratio was higher than expected. And it was a very straightforward, premium badha do. Let's just increase the premium because the claim ratio is high. I said, no, let's wait. There are other technological interventions. Let's do some behavioral analytics. For example, we introduced a video that, hey, make sure that when somebody files a claim for theft, just capture a 1-minute video talking about the incident. And what we saw is that a lot of time, the incidents, actual claim ratio went down. Just because we thought, behaviorally speaking, most people find it hard to lie in their own face. So we saw a little bit less fraud. Not a huge, but there was some intervention there. So let's talk about these behavioral and technological interventions. Then we start looking at CIBIL scores. That, hey, somebody's CIBIL, which is less than 600, 550, let's do another round of checks for claims. If somebody has a CIBIL score of 650 plus, they just give because if somebody is paying loan, credit card, etc. on time, then most likely fraud nahi hoga. So, we can take those proxies. So very little innovation there. I'm not sure about the new age insurance companies like Digit and Aqua have a good thing there, but I don't have personal experience. But I believe they're doing a lot more interesting things. But insurance companies are being run in a very legacy mindset. they are completely dependent on your offline brokers, agents. Not very little digitization has happened apart from auto, just because it's so widespread. Even today, health and life are underwritten manually every time we give them some policy. It is painful to see that. Sorry, I mean.
No, thanks, Nishant. I think that is definitely helpful. Yeah, there's another question.
Sorry, so what I'm trying to say here, don't join insurance company, join us, basically.
The next question is around, and this is also a standard question we usually ask in terms of a little more theoretical for the students in terms of understanding the revenue model and the business model. Like you mentioned, your role is to be a broker. You have plays in the customer acquisition part and onboarding, as well as in the claims experience.
Yes. So revenue model is very straightforward. Here. We get a commission, and we get the commission gets higher and higher the more volume we do. So as an insurance broker, you're always unit positive. I will never sell insurance product for more than what it's costing me or commission is. Yes, we do spend money in acquiring a channel, which with scale usually we return profitability in over a year or so. The cycle is profitable for us. For example, it's running for about two plus years. The newer insurance things like Toffee Plan, because we're still establishing channels and digital marketing and those kind of things, is still loss making for us from overall operational expenses perspective. But at a unit level, if customer is paying 100 rupees, I make sure I'm at least getting 15 of that.
Do you all also play a role in the underwriting piece? Like, do you all share data with you? Okay.
We do, but that is almost IP for us, that sense. So we do in terms of when the claim ratio gets higher, or when you're proposing a new construct or a product construct, we do our own underwriting. I won't call it underwriting, more for statistical models, because underwriting means that there is legacy data to be had. Underwriting is that I take the legacy data and underwrite basis on that. But cycle insurance, for example, there is no legacy data because there is no record in the country how many cycles get stolen. So similarly, but life is easy to underwrite. Those are standard models. But basis on the demographics you go with, the underwriting model change. Now, so what we have noticed that we've definitely gotten sample set is very small so far, but we're getting a much younger sort of person to buy life insurance today. So what does that mean to the underwriting model? So those kind of things we can definitely go back and forth on.
Perfect. So what brought up this question was a specific question from Abhilash Chatterjee. Says, what is the license you have which enables you to decouple and bundle various insurance companies? Is there a specific piece, or is it that you just are able to position yourselves there?
So, Abhinav, right? So I'll take a step back. So what are the licenses you need to operate insurance business? So there is something called a reinsurance license, which means reinsurance companies insure the insurance companies. So insurance companies insure their books also with reinsurance company. Then you have insurance companies. Insurance companies, the license usually is life insurance, health separately, or general. General means I can do everything in health, but not life. Life is always separate. Life cannot be bundled with anything, or you could take only health license or a general insurance GI license. So that's from manufacturing point of view. Then you have intermediary licenses. So you have something called insurance marketing firm, which is a small firm, small unit. You can only tie up with one insurance company to become the agent or broker. Then you have corporate agency, where you do 3 life, 3 health, 3 GI. So we actually have a corporate agency license, and we are this year we are in a process. It takes a while upgrading it to a broker license. The difference is, as a broker, I can tie up with unlimited number of, everyone if I need to. There is something called a web aggregator license, which a policy bazaars kind have. Web aggregator allows you to tie up with any number of companies, but they can only do comparison. They can't create products and sell. They can't say कि cycle insurance मैं बेच रहा हूँ at a point of sale. वो नहीं कर सकते. They can only do is comparison. So you go there, they will show you, okay, you want health insurance for this, for your price point or for your area code, etc., PIN code. This is what insurance are available. You click on it and you buy it. So that's the applicator. There is something called bank assurance, where banks can sell their to their customers. So roughly there are these manufacturing intermediaries, there are multiple kind of intermediaries basis on, obviously every license needs a different paid up capital. So brokers are very expensive, corporate agents exclusive, expensive, in not exclusive, which we have some other business running, not very expensive. So depending on that. Any specific questions out of that, I'm happy to answer. But sorry, as a corporate agent or a broker, you can co-create products, and that's not stopping anyone.
There's another question which from Nitin Saxena. He's saying, given that insurance is a low-touch industry after you acquire the customer, and the only other point primarily is claims, how do you still ensure engagement to increase depth and increase stickiness?
That's a tough question. That's a brilliant question, actually. And frankly, Nitin, we're still struggling with that. We do kind of, we make it contextual to the insurance you've bought rather than giving users gyan. So we said, okay, for claims, what do you do? Make sure that you're doing this and that, and try to engage with them on a monthly basis. But you're right. I mean, the open rates are not very high. It's in sort of high single digits, so 8-9% we get. But more than that, there is nothing you can do because you will not need it, right? Even if you need life and health, you will probably need when you're 20, 29 years old. And so we do sort of, right now, we're sort of putting that engine together where we said, okay, you're 26-year-old, bought a cycle insurance. When is the most likelihood that you will need health or life? So we start kind of giving you that. But apart from that, you're right. I mean, you can't really, the person is not going to install your app and sort of browse through your app to find interesting insurances every week, every month. So that's the problem to solve. And that's why apps by insurance companies have largely failed. So people are doing things like fitness, that, okay, if you do on an average 10,000 steps a day, your insurance premium will go down. And they are doing insurance on a go. You're traveling, turn on your insurance. Auto, again, on the go. When you drive the car, it turns on. When the car is standing, the insurance turns off. So that way you can sort of play on the premium. So there's some models there on a higher engagement. But for traditional health, life, etc., it is difficult. And my sense is that perhaps not necessary, at least as of now, just because the bigger problem to solve is that how do you get more people to buy into these comprehensive policies, a younger demographic to buy. And then once we have solved the problem, then you figure out that how do you engage. If you do need to engage somebody on insurance. I mean, so frankly, I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and something that I guess would also constantly evolve as you learn from your consumers. There's another one. Yash Agarwal asks, how is Toffee creating trust amongst consumers when you're up against a lot of traditional players like the likes of the LICs and Bajaj Alliances, etc.?
Yeah, trust. I mean, in certain segments we have a trust. We've been there, like Cyclist, etc. But also here, this is not our policy. So when we say, "Acha, theek hai, le lete hain," but hey, kiski policy? You know, say, look, we're deciding that Tata's policy is the best or Bajaj policy is the best. So we do ride on that, some of that legacy sort of trust name when we're selling a more comprehensive like etc. So at least for new customers, but so far, you know, our customer rating, etc. on claims, and we're very sort of mindful of that, has been pretty high, and takes time, I would think, to build trust, especially in this space. And I mean, you keep sort of fulfilling your promise, and my sense is eventually we will become, you know, be there. But for now, we do kind of take sort of a lot of communication is sort of at the around that. Hey, between these few policies, this is the best policy, kind of thing. We make it clear that this is not our policy.
Well, one last question, then we'll probably go into the career segment. Do you all look at different customer experiences based on different customer segments or different product offerings?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
Yep.
So, I mean, our customer segment for a point of sale is very different. It is the agent, the merchant, the dealer who's doing it. An end customer who's not coming to a website or not going proactively to buy is a very different customer. And we have noticed that at a point of sale, a customer is very middle class, but on a website, the customer is definitely upper middle class. So the kind of sort of branding and experience and the content, etc., you will see on a website is very different. For instance, if you look at the agent app, the seller app is very, and it has to be vernacular for that sense. So we do have different personas we have to cater for. And interestingly, different like backpackers was a very different persona, say cyclist or dengue or mosquito for that instance. Mosquito, dengue, very different. So we definitely sort of get that, and we tailor that content accordingly. But website, definitely we have to consciously, we have been, from day one, we want to make it aspirational. Even though you're not using my website and all that, but that's a brand, almost like that, whether I can afford Apple or not, but I know I want to get there someday. And that's the kind of thing we have been starting for. Yeah, brand, Toffee Insurance, it has to be very world-class looking when you go to the website, whether you use it or not. But actually in the workings of it, we're very mindful of these 2-3 different personas, because a middle class or middle class is very vernacular. When we call the customer and we help them and etc., you not comfortable in English, Hindi, and local languages. Our customer support team has people. We have people who speak 9 different languages, and that is the reason.
Thank you so much, Nishant. I think these insights are really interesting, and getting that practical sense right from you is really helpful. I'm going to pivot into the career side, and to start with, one of the standard pieces we really talk about is we could maybe talk through for a couple of minutes. What are the classic functions and roles that you all have? How have you all structured yourselves, particularly given like your strategy of being very product focused, customer centric? If you could maybe talk us through that, and then I guess in the process allude towards what are the kind of skill sets that people need in those different roles.
So yeah, an interesting question, and because as founders, Rohan and I, we founded. What we have noticed is as we grow, you kind of trying to hire people who are better than you at certain functions or most functions, and then all I end up doing, like my 50% of the time is spent actually interviewing and and I think that's a good thing. And constantly, I'm sort of, even though we post roles, and so look at that, what are the kind of people we hire, and we'll come up with sort of what specialty. But the first thing we look for is, I know it might sound cliched, is kind of, is there an attitude, cultural fit for that person to be part of a startup first? Forget FinTech hai, nahi hai, wo sab to, that will come. But are you willing? Are you a risk-taking person? Are you somebody who can take something up, define a problem, and run with it? Solve chahiye. I don't want we don't want managers here that, hey, okay, I will make sure I will do it if somebody else will do it. Otherwise, I'll get this done. That kind of mindset. Self-driven, very self-driven, works in uncertainty. You know that this is uncertain, so you'll have to take your best guess. Things will change. Your role might change every 3 months. I say, okay, before you kind of figure out, okay, this is what I really good at. And there are multiple examples I can see where people have started somewhere, but actually doing something very different than they started off. So you have to be very open-minded, problem solving focus, self-initiative. It's not that you're waiting for somebody to get this done. So very execution kind of focus, what we're talking about. And it's a very mindset thing. It's a very attitude thing. It doesn't matter after with MBA, engineering, so we have seen right across. It's a very attitude. Who are you as a person? Are you that kind of, do you have that thing? And you have that, then you'll naturally get gravitated towards startup. Second is that, or you're looking for safety, looking for a very sort of obviously very high salary, and said, nahi yaar, paisa chahiye and all that. But if you're not that, okay, I will balance that off with ESOPs and those kind of things. So that attitude is my first go-to thing, is that, hey, does that person have it to work in a startup in a very uncertain atmosphere, at least for next two years. And the second, of course, then what is that person's, for lack of a better word, core strength? So, people talk about generalists and all that. I think that I don't believe in generalists. I said, what is your core strength? And can you move horizontally or vertically? That, okay, this is my core strength. I am a data scientist. I can do this. I mean, you can put a back-end developer, front-end developer, product, or program manager and all that. But aapne kara kya hai? What do you think you're good at? Whether you've proven it as a student, you may not have proven it to that extent, but that confidence will show when when you and me talk together, said, okay, I know so this is your starting point. So this is what becomes your focus. And then how flexible you are to move sideways or top, bottom, etc. Because you're not going to do that for the rest of your life. So what are you interested in? Do you have other interests? I am a front-end engineer, but I really want to become a UX designer. But what have you done for that passion? Okay, I'm a data scientist, but I really want to get into a process role or an ops role, for example. I want to get into underwriting, for instance. Okay, I am a program manager, but I really, really want to become a product manager, which is a very different sort of thing. So I want to get that sense that where you are, what you're confident in, what have you done to gain sort of that confidence to earn your core skill set, but what drives you to move forward? Either you become deeper in that skill set, or what else do you want to do in your life? So, I mean, that's the sense I'm getting from a role specific. Yeah, I mean, it's no different from any other organization that way. You need people, data, engineering, product. But in most startups, what I want to tell you, I'm not sure if the engineering folks here or not, or tech folks here, but development teams are things of the past, or they will become past, because now startups, organizations are organizing themselves around products. So we don't have tech team and product team or design team. Aisa kuch nahi hai. We have product team. So there's a team with multidisciplinary skill set managing a product. Website है, app है, admin tool है, and analysts हैं आपके, operations हैं. There are 3 or 4 different skill sets, and they have that. Okay, this week, this month, this quarter, this is what we have to do. So it's very, very product focused. So you're just sort of living and breathing that product day in and day out. So so in startups, it's always becomes our product. So marketing be part of that product, because अगर website को आपको you have to market the website, without understanding what is going on your website, you can completely remove from that thing. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm rambling at this point, but help me focus if there's something else.
No, Nishant, I think that's really helpful. I think that last point particularly is very, very interesting and not something the students usually come across, in terms of having to change yourself, not just being one silo, but really evolving and understanding different aspects of it and bringing those different skill sets accordingly. So I think that's a really interesting insight that you mentioned. I'm going to end with I think there's a question from Shashank B, and sounds more from the entrepreneurial side. And he talks about, as a designer, how did you get the confidence that your idea would work? Would you have started Toffee without co-founders, early founding teams?
We did. You don't have the confidence. You never have the confidence, and that's what I'm saying. You have to learn to live with uncertainty when you're an entrepreneur, and you'll understand that. It's inside you. Because if you look at rationally, अगर आप इसको column में बांटोगे, pros and cons and all that sort of thing, में तो entrepreneurship will never win, because financially speaking, if I were to continue working with what I started off my career with and all that, I would have earned at least 100 times more. Very frankly, yes. So you don't do it for money. Let's get that aside first. You do it you have that challenge, यार कुछ करना है, different करना है. I want to have fun. I want to control my own destiny. Whatever cliche or proverb or whatever you want to call it, you want to put it there. यार कुछ interesting करना है, तो this is for you. You don't know your problem you don't know whether it will succeed or not. 99% it will fail. Like I said, this was my 6th idea. The first sort of company I did was a service company. Service company is, I mean, it's safe because I worked for 6-7 years as a designer. I had the network. So becoming a service, I already had my name, so it was easy for me to get the business initially, at least. So starting off was easy. But the product, you will have to drive 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, there is a lot of luck and timing, etc., which is a play here. But yeah, we've done in what kind of comes back to you is that it is interesting, and Toffee, I mean, we have been fortunate that yes, I mean, we have, I mean, so far we're going strong. But again, I mean, whether we become $1 billion company or not, that remains to be seen. But our goal is never $1 billion. Our goal is that can I own the customer journey? So my guess is if I own the customer journey, the other results will come. So yeah, in a sense, uncertainty will always be there. Be very clear about why you want to become an entrepreneur, or be very clear about why you want to join a startup. Be very clear about that, because don't do it, like I said, don't do it for the money, do it for learning, because the kind of learning, whether Toffee or any startup for that matter, we are 2.5 years more, but any early a startup 6 months, your learning will be 10 times more. In Toffee, maybe 5 times more. So that sense, it's probably a good way to start your career, I would imagine, because the liabilities nahi hai, right? I mean, you don't have families to support, at least most of you don't. Your parents, you're still probably living with your parents or not. So itna nahi hai, so even if you earn at sort of, I mean, decent money, so yeah, comfortable life hai. I'm not driving big fancy cars, but otherwise you're comfortable. So this is a good time for you, because the learning you will have in next 2 years in a big organizations, you will take you at least 3, 4, 5 times that. So maybe this is the first step to career. Hey, 2 years, let's actually explore a bunch of things before I know that this is what I'm going to do with my career, in a sense. I mean, I'm biased to take that with that sensibility, but but it is high risk, no doubt, but also the kind of fun and the controlling. Tomorrow I can do, देखो ये problem hai, let's go solve it. I don't need permission. So whether you like, I mean, depend. Again, a very personality kind of thing, I would think. Yeah.
No, thanks, Nishant. I think that's a good way to possibly end this, and great insights in terms of not just the Toffee product piece, but also from a career and entrepreneurial perspective. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in today. I think it really was a refreshing session.
Sorry we couldn't do it face to face. I would love to do that, but hopefully a vaccine is found and we can do this again 6 months later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think another round is definitely due. And thank you to those who joined in. I really appreciate the questions and the interaction that you guys had. I hope you really enjoyed the session as we did. As with all our sessions, really look forward to hearing from you. We're just flashing, the standard email address we have, where you can send in your candid feedback. Let us know what you thought about this one. If there are any specific questions, we can always pass it on to Nishant. Or if you have any other.
And Prateek, you have my deck. I mean, if you feel free to forward that.
Fantastic. Yep. We'll also share that across to all who attended today. And yeah, in case you all have any other suggestions on topics or how we run this or anything else that you'd like us to think about, happy to hear from all of you. But for now, thanks to everybody who's joined in.
Thanks to the entire team. Thanks so much. I know I'm not the easiest person. I was not the easiest person to get hold of, but thanks for being consistent. And I really enjoyed this, by the way. So thanks, Prateek, especially, and thanks, Avnish and everyone.
Thank you so much, Nishant. Really good to have you. Bye-bye.